NFL never disappoints. The NFL never disappoints. Texans active week continues after we signed off yesterday here on SNL. Landry Larker, Cody Stoots with you. Danielle Hunter was extended again to the surprise of a couple guys. I think I speak for both of us. And then Joe Mixon today released to the surprise of nobody.
No.
Except maybe Adam Schefter, who reported that Joe Mixon had requested his release, and the Texans obliged. So there you go. I think it was the perfect way, in all seriousness, for this thing to end. There has to be a little ounce of silliness at the end of this. And Adam Schefter saying that Joe Mixon requested his release because the agent asked him to. And remember, Joe Mixon got mad at Ian Rappaport because Ian Rappaport reported that he wasn't going to play this season.
Mm-hmm.
Mixon called him out and tagged his agent. So I'm assuming that now Adam Schefter kind of swooped in and he became the guy. So now he just sacrifices his dignity and says some silliness like that. That's kind of how the game goes. But I say all that to say, Joe Mixon, he gone. We knew.
It's this is what was always going to happen once he missed an entirety of the season. Once it became clear he was missing the rest of the season, I didn't expect that he would play in 2026 for the Houston Texans. The truth about the mysterious foot injury, I'm sure, will one day come out, but the general manager called it a freak medical thing after saying, I don't want to call it a freak medical thing. He called it a freak medical thing. And Joe Mixon never got healthy. It looked like he, at some point, was trying to get back, and then he just never got back. And it never worked out, and he never played in 2025, and he was a one-season wonder for the Texans, and he was good in 2024. We had high expectations for him in 2025, and he never stepped on the field, and this is the ultimate end game for when he didn't play in 2025, is he's not going to be a guy you can count on this upcoming season. And obviously, if you needed any more reinforcement that Joe Mixon is not going to be a part of this team, they traded for David Montgomery earlier this week. But we all knew before that, and when Caserio slipped up at the combine, that Joe Mixon was getting released.
Yeah, I would say that this is one of the weirder things. Like, there's been a lot of like speculation and stuff. I'm assuming that Joe Mixon does like one of the podcasts and he tells his story and stuff or whatever. And I think that was kind of the respect. But you go back to when it started, D'Amico Ryans had a really weird rant about medical privacy and comparing it to like media types, which was just kind of an embarrassing display by D'Amico. But you could tell he was like going above and beyond to protect Mixon on this. And then we got less and less information. It was kind of apparent that Joe Mixon wasn't going to play really like training camp when they brought in Nick Chubb. And then they never really gave up on it. And they just kept pushing back. And really nobody locally or nobody nationally could really get the reason why. But I will say this, Joe Mixon is one of the best finds of the Caserio D'Amico era. And it was one of the best pivots that they've had in their entire tenure. When you factor in that they were trying to get Saquon Barkley and then they didn't even let Joe Mixon hit the market. They brought him here. He immediately brought an edge that this team was lacking, that they very much needed. There was a clear difference in just the juice and the feel when he was on the football field. He was an absolute dog. He had a sense of the moment. I'll never forget the drive in his last game as a Texan, the first drive of the second half, where the Texans capped off the touchdown and Mixon just kind of high steps and big dicks it into the end zone. Just complete, just like juice whenever Joe Mixon would make a play. And he was an absolute dog. I would say he's probably a top 3, maybe top 2 running back in franchise history. I'd put him behind Arian Foster. We can have discussions about other guys, but I think Joe Mixon was an absolute huge asset to this team, and it sucked that stuff happened the way that it did. Obviously, it's something that's probably pretty private to he and they in a weird situation, but the guy was an absolute savage on the football field, and if they could find another Joe Mixon, it would be in their best interest because it's not easy, and not too many guys are built like that.
Yeah, I fully believe in 2025, if Joe Mixon had been the running back for this team, they win at least 2 more games and maybe more. Like I feel very good about where they could have been as a team if they'd had Joe Mixon with Woody Marks in that running back room. They never probably signed Nick Chubb if Mixon was healthy. And then 2024, he made an awful offensive line look acceptable at times with some of his abilities and what he was able to execute in that 2024 season. And I mean, from the jump in 2024, he was fantastic with that huge game to start the year against the Indianapolis Colts. And he had some really big moments for the team, and it just didn't work out in 2025. We'll always wonder what if the foot hadn't become such a big issue that he couldn't play football at all. And we'll always wonder what could have happened with Joe Mixon and the Texans in 2025. But they would have, to me, won at least a couple more games if Mixon had been the running back.
Yeah, and I mean, he's kind of at the unfortunate thing for him is he's kind of at the age where running backs kind of fall off, and it's kind of that slippery slope. But yeah, it's unfortunate for him. It's really unfortunate for them, and it was obvious that this was inevitable. But I guess Joe is kind of, I don't want to call it delusional because I don't know like the state, but I think he's hoping he can get back on a football field. So you present it as, I asked for my release after they signed David Montgomery, and you try to do what you can. But even if he could have, it wouldn't have made much sense for him this year, given the fact that he's trying to get back.
Yeah, I mean, Mixon strikes me as the type of guy that's probably going to just try to exhaust everything he can to stay on the football field and keep playing. So I'm not super surprised that he would want it to be framed or make it look in a different way. But there was no way, shape, or form the Houston Texans should have Joe Mixon on the roster in 2026.
Swarm.
On the chat, Logan Taylor says, I feel we are going to try and get a big-time offensive lineman in free agency.
Well, you might be alone on that one.
Does not feel that way, but we will see.
I hope they do, but it doesn't feel like that.
Will Royboy says, so long, Mixon. Have a nice trip. See you next fall.
I feel like that's something you've done to somebody in like high school where you're like, hey, you kick their feet out from under him.
Nah.
See you next fall.
Cruz 8009 says, do you guys like Jake Andrews? I think he sucks. I like him as a guy. But yeah, I mean, just because of that doesn't mean, like, we've made it clear he stunk last year. And if they're not better at center this year, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah, they have to be better.
Go ahead.
They have to be better at center. I like Jake Andrews, the guy, and he's fun to talk football and life with. But if he's not a better football player, they're not going anywhere, and they'll probably try to upgrade from him in free agency.
Yeah, he stunk last year. And the reality is there's a couple of spots on this team where if you run out what you ran out last year, you're not gonna reach the ultimate level. One of them is starting center. The other one is tight end too. You can't put those guys on a football field as much as they're on the football field.
I will say this:
emergency situation.
Is there a scenario where Andrews is the starting center and he plays better? Yeah, I totally believe that is a possible outcome. How likely is it? I don't know. Probably not super likely, but first year playing, if he gets better. Caserio claimed he played on one leg all year, even though the injury report would say otherwise. So is there a way that he's a better football player and he's the center next year? Sure. Should they try to upgrade if they can? Absolutely.
On the chat says, the only 40 number CJ should see is on dumbbells for curls. Needs to change his dad bod. If he comes jacked, I will be nice, but he ain't. He has no motive. Oh, he has a lot of motive. He has motive. We'll see how he responds.
What, Oren Yankin? Is that what we're going with here?
I just call him O to avoid trying to read all
He
that.
is CJ's number one critic and probably will be the number one critic for a long time based on the amount of times he's been upset with him.
Very much so. Hubra says, how much did the mismanagement / total whiffing of Cam Robinson, CJ Gardner-Johnson, Mixon, and Ward set the Texans back last year in the next couple of seasons ways? Now, I won't say that they whiffed that bad on Mixon. I think this fluke-ish just kind of happened. CJ Gardner-Johnson was obviously a major whiff. The trade was fine, and then you did the contract. But if you last 3 games and you're gone, that's obviously a disaster. Cam Robinson, not great. Jimmy Ward, excuse me. Whatever. I don't think any of this set you back years. I think the only contract here that is still in the like salary cap breakdowns is CJ Gardner-Johnson, but outside of that, I don't think these really set you back years.
I mean, the only thing I would say is like you spent a bunch of money on Cam Robinson. Could you have spent that on a different player at a different position and been a better football team?
Fair.
That would have been the like you spent what was it $4.5 million on Laken Tomlinson. You spent $13 million on Cam Robinson. Could you have spent, $12 million on Kevin Zeitler or somebody else at free agency and gotten a better player? That would be my big thing about Cam Robinson. I think they're all very different scenarios and situations. Like Jimmy got a weird contract extension when he was already on the team. Then he got hurt, and it was like, okay, is he ever going to play? He didn't. They got rid of him. Mixon was expected to be relied upon, and then he got hurt, and then they thought he could come back, and he never came back. CJ Gardner-Johnson just turned into a disaster. What a joke that was.
Yeah, that was not a good fit. Dom on the chat says, F it, put Cody at LT and move Ursary to right tackle. Why do these people think you're athletic?
Why do they think I could play off it? Is it just because I'm fat? It's like, hey, put the fat guy there.
Pretty much. I think that's it. Logan Taylor says, how you feel they will use the $35 million cap space?
Well, they're gonna extend some people, I would think, at some point. So the cap space will be used for some of that. Like, I would think that some of Will Anderson and Azeez Al-Shire's extensions, I assume Azeez is getting an extension. I would think that those will be, part of the cap space. They're going to have to add bodies. They may not shop at the top for guards, but they're going to have to go find offensive linemen to add to the equation. There's going to be some depth pieces on the defense that they'll spend the money on. I would assume some of it when they, Alpha Aaron's saying they're going to adjust David Montgomery's contract, because of course they will. And so I'm assuming some of that will go to David Montgomery.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's very possible. I don't know. I don't know what to think of them when they use cap space. I'm actually kind of intrigued to see how they handle the new cap live. So predicting what they'll do with money, what they'll do in trade. I mean, we follow this team 24/7. It's our livelihood, and I don't really know how to predict anything that they do. They have given us clues though. Like last year, they did do the exact same thing. They traded a starting offensive lineman to a different team that was high priced. They gave Danielle Hunter an extension, and then they kind of penny pinched on the offensive line. And then they had a good draft with a lot of day two assets. So maybe they've kind of left some crumbs, but predicting what they will do is somewhat tough.
I wrote about this on Houston Football. The one thing they've never tried to fix the offensive line is spend big money on long-term contracts in free agency. They've extended guys. They've traded for guys. They've tried the cheap 1 year fill-in approach. Like basically the one thing they've never done is go out there and spend a bunch of money on a multi-year deals in free agency.
By they, you mean D'Amico and
Caserio in the past few seasons.
Because even really like the history of the franchise, you even go to OB. The one time he went like heavy in, he paid too much. Like it was the 2 firsts and the second for Laramie Tunsil within a year of Trent Williams going for a 3rd and 5th. But even he, before that, was let's kick the tires on Matt Khalil. That's the Matt Khalil deal is really like the kind of deals that they've made. Now they did the Shaq Mason thing, I guess you could say.
Traded for him.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that, it's not free agency. So, yeah, you're correct.
Yeah, and the two of the best offensive linemen they've ever signed in free agency were a part of the best offensive line in franchise history. So when they signed Wade Smith, they signed Chris Myers, they had Dwayne Brown at left tackle. It's like, oh, man. And you see all these other teams sign free agents. Look, I know it's not a foolproof process, but it's one you haven't tried yet. Go spend a bunch of money.
So we can agree that the
people should be at Spanky's next week. Absolutely.
Yeah, we can agree people should be at Spanky's next week, and also agree that the Joe Mixon thing, really not surprising news. But we will be at Spanky's. It's Friday Free Agent Frenzy next Friday. We want to see you there. We're going to have some gifts to give away: homemade dough, homemade sauce, the best bar, food in the game, the best happy hour in the game, and SNL in the building, talking about free agency with you. Spanky, Sharpstown, our home, your home, everyone's home. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. We'll have a lot of fun. We'll know a lot more about the direction of this franchise and what they're planning to do and how they plan to make it work come Friday at Spanky's.
On Z-Chat.
Swarm.
Sir Wags254 says, thoughts on Wyatt Teller? He's a mean SOB.
That's the free agent guard from the Cleveland Browns. He's been their right tackle, or excuse me, their right guard for
A long time.
like 8 years now, 6 years now, something like that. And he's gotten a little bit worse the past 2 seasons. Like he's dropped off a little bit. Got dinged up a little bit this past season as well from an injury standpoint. But 3-4 years ago, he was Mr. Consistency and a really good football player. So maybe getting out of Cleveland can recapture some of that. I feel like there's a chance that if you play Wyatt Teller in 2026, he could give you everything Ed Ingram gave you this year and probably at a cheaper price. So I would look at it that way. It's not the most exciting move, but you can do worse.
Yeah. I don't know. I know Alpha Aaron's been bringing him up a lot. Makes me kind of wonder if that's a possibility, but whatever. I mean, it's not like a massive move.
You shouldn't get excited about Wyatt Teller if he's the right guard.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, it's not Lake and Tomlinson, but it's closer to that than it is like Tyler Linderbaum or something like that. It's much closer to that. So
yeah.
Dom says, put Landry at LG. Is that a fat joke?
Wouldn't Landry's length play better at left tackle, and wouldn't I be better at guard?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of on the decline right now, but I don't know. Like, are there any like 6'6", 240-pound left guards?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
not in the NFL. There might be a few hanging around high school football, probably catching offers from Bama, Texas, and everybody else.
How stupid would that look? On Z-Chat.
Swarm.
Space Age 713 says, our core 4 RBs should be Montgomery, Marks, Washington Jr. out of Arkansas, and Nate Singleton out of Penn State. So you're saying draft 2, no Jawar Jordan, no Dare Ogunbowale, and he says you guys have great chemistry. Well, Space Age, the chemistry matters because we got guys like you that ride with us every day and hold us accountable and stuff. So we appreciate you on that. I want to draft a running back still. I don't know. Like Washington Jr. seems like he might have played himself into round 3 or 4, I think. And I don't know if they're going to draft a running back that early. There are some intriguing running backs, I would say. Singleton's hurt. Me and Cody actually have a 6-ounce apple cider vinegar bet. I say he doesn't go earlier than the 5th. Cody says he goes earlier, but
I just don't know how they. I don't know how they allocate 2 draft picks to the running back spot when those players are going to be, I think, closer than I could see 2 picks, but one would be a very late pick, like a 7th rounder or something like that.
If you ask me, the backs that are kind of like now that things have kind of shaped up and they've added Montgomery to the mix, like the backs that I think that kind of intrigue me. I like Washington Jr. I just think that 4-3. I mean, that's in this running back class that played him up. I like Price okay, but not a ton. Again, the stat that I'm gonna hammer till the cows come home is 11 times double-digit carries. I just don't know how that fits. Maybe it's unrealized potential. Who knows? But don't know. And obviously, he didn't run as fast as maybe we thought he would. Jonah Coleman is a guy that people mention. He's just not really fast. He can pass block, and he seems to take a lot of pride in it. I think he's a day 3 guy. Maybe if you just want to draft a back. But I'm actually intrigued by Emmett Johnson now. Like Emmett Johnson out of Nebraska is someone that I've kind of started looking at a little bit closer. I don't know how athletic he's going to be. I don't know how they look at him. He had one really good season, very confident though, but Emmett Johnson is kind of the running back that I like now based on realistic possibilities and realistic outcomes. But it is a very, 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 and this is hard for me to say, very unflattering running back draft.
Damn, I feel like I brought up Emmett Johnson a while ago, and you kind of were like, "Nah, no thanks."
No, yeah. Well,
you know,
that was before they had two backs that they're gonna obviously roll with.
So Emmett Johnson was college football's scrimmage yards per game leader last year. So
yes, yards after contact were pretty crazy. He's kind of got some juice. I think he's from Minnesota. I think he's Mr. Minnesota football, if I'm not mistaken. So he's kind of
he was second in college football in scrimmage yards. So like he can catch the ball, he runs the ball, and again, I love the fact that he had success when everybody in the entire stadium knew Nebraska's not throwing the ball. They're going to run it with Emmett Johnson. I like Emmett Johnson. He's not a super athlete. He's kind of slow and he's not running away from anybody, but he knows what to do when he sees an opening and gets through it and makes some plays. So I like Emmett Johnson.
And he's had to go through a lot of stuff professionally in order to mold. I think this is something we can relate to. Like anytime you're doing a radio show or a broadcast with someone who's trying to be someone else, like we've done it with like guys who think they're calling Cowherd. It's hard. Having a quarterback who's trying to be Patrick Mahomes, it's distracting, and he was still able to handle his business with Raiola. But yeah, Space Age, we appreciate you, my friend. Sir Wags again says, would you keep Jordan if we only draft one RB? Jordan's cheap, man. Like
let him come to camp and compete.
Bring him in camp, see what pops. But Brevin Jordan and British Brooks are less than $1 million on the salary next year. So, I mean, why the hell not? It's too bad Brevin Jordan. He actually looked decent in kick return last year in camp. It's too bad that they don't really, or that he can't do it. Maybe don't know.
Jawar Jordan.
Yeah, I said Brevin, didn't I?
Yep.
My bad. Jawar.
Bring Jawar Jordan in, give him every opportunity to make the team. That's what I would say with him.
Very cheap.
Yeah.
Very, very, very cheap. All right. So we have the Mixon news. Is there anything else we want to talk about with Joe Mixon? Is there any people are asking what happened? I don't know. You've heard
he didn't shoot himself. He did not shoot himself.
That's just internet fuckery that kind of spread a little bit, and people kind of show like how deep in the sticks they're going. I promise you, he did not shoot himself. That's one. And if he did, that would be a quick heal. Like that's the surgery is pretty simple. Like people get shot all the time, and are good to go. So he did not shoot himself.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he, I don't know.
Look, he clearly did something and tried to fix it, and his foot did not respond, and it got worse.
Yeah, like sometimes, like if you get something done, maybe like if the doctor tells you to do something or not do something, maybe, sometimes if you don't, then it doesn't happen. I mean, just like, I don't know, but like that would make sense. I mean, that would make sense. Like, I don't think there were any ill motives. I don't think he was doing anything stupid, but like, if you like,
I think he had a medical procedure and his body did not respond well to it. And it just put him way far behind and he never caught back up.
Yeah. I think that's probably a pretty,
and I don't think it was Joe's fault necessarily, or the doctor's fault, or his body didn't respond. He tried to fix it. It didn't work. He tried to come back. He never got back. He's gone.
Yep. And I don't think he didn't do anything too crazy. I don't think, but yeah, who knows?
Rich boy. Joe tried to out Pizza the Hut.
Man, if you do that, you're effed.
Never out Pizza Hut.
Pizza Hut just stays consistent. You know the best thing about Pizza Hut now?
What's that?
And this, I pick up on shit like this. Because you do this too, because you're Mr. Order French fries at Whataburger without salt and then ask for salt on the side just so you get fresh fries. Like that's you. Right now is the time to order Pizza Hut because they just shut down a bunch of underperforming stores. So all the stores that are hanging around are just freaking bringing it. I have like Pizza Hut rewards. I think I still have I didn't even know I had them, but I have like 7 large pizzas that I have to use before August because it's Avery's favorite. Like it's like the chain. So she likes like the personal and all that. But like, now is the time to order it because they're like in the hot seat.
Yeah, you got to be good. You got to take care of your business.
Yeah, it's always a battle when you start talking about pizza chains, though.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's got their favorite for whatever reason or why or how or
on the chat, this is Cliff. As we put a bow on the Mixon era. See, I can understand this. Like, I don't necessarily disagree with like how annoying it was when Caserio was like, and I think he had a surgery a week ago or something like that. I think that was kind of a passive aggressive way of saying we're done with him. Like, I know, and some people looked at that and said, "You think?" Like, if that would have happened like week 1, week 6, I would get the reaction. But for me, that's kind of his way of saying we're done with this guy. Just like how seconds later he said we have 3 running backs under contract, and he didn't mention Joe Mixon. So I don't necessarily look at it. There was a lot of BS. So I'm not saying that you can't put together like Costco bulk of the BS with the Mixon thing. But I think in that case, it was just basically him saying, yeah, we're done.
Yeah.
We're done with this. We're out of this business.
Yeah. And if they don't know if for whatever reason they don't know exactly what happened and what all went down, even more reason to move on from the guy.
They know.
But they know.
They know. And they looked out for each other. So there we go. All right. Other news as we pour one out for Joe Mixon. We hardly knew you, my friend.
I will actually pour one out for Mixon. I have not actually wanted to pour one out for Scruggs or Howard, but I will.
Say a little prayer for Joe Mixon. Thank you very much for Joe Mixon. Thank you very much for allowing him to give us what he gave us in 2024. In King Cole's name we pray.
Oh, gosh.
Amen. All hail King Cole.
Oh, gosh. What is this? The medieval times where you have to bend knee to the king.
I'm just kidding to my fellow Christians. Don't be offended. I was just kidding. I was just trying to emphasize that King Cole is the king right now, okay? It might have been a bad bit. I apologize to all my fellow Christians, okay? Let me buy you a drink at Spanky's next Friday, which is where we're going to be.
I'm going to go recklessly discharge a weapon in honor of Joe Mixon.
Come on.
Even though that's not what happened.
All right. On another front, Danielle Hunter. So we kind of Texans cap threw this out there in February. We kind of hiked our leg on it yesterday.
Not kind of. Full stand at the urinal on it yesterday.
Yeah.
Hey, bro. Alpha Aaron here.
And then I'll be damned. Danielle Hunter gets his second extension before he plays on the first. Now, there's a lot of reaction to this. I just think I get both sides of it. I think it's important when you're talking about contracts to not be pro player or pro organization, unless you want to be, it's fine. But like for what we do, I think you got to understand both points of view. And I think in this case, there are a bunch of points of view. I don't really understand it from the Texans' point of view, unless they're just not going to pay the quarterback ever.
To me, you only do this with Danielle if you're not paying a quarterback. They're not going to pay CJ Stroud this upcoming offseason. So you have a little bit more flexibility. But I will wonder what you could have spent that money on instead of Danielle Hunter in 2027. Could you have better maximized 2026 instead of investing in Danielle Hunter in 2027? Would be one of my big elements and conversation pieces around Danielle Hunter getting extended. As far as like what he cost, I mean, he probably got more on the open market. So, I don't know how much more, but it's a guy that's plays every game and gets double-digit sacks. Okay, that's a very expensive contract. They paid him a very expensive amount of money, but I just wonder, could you have better utilized that money elsewhere throughout the roster to better maximize the team?
Yeah, my thing on it is the points of view. I just don't necessarily think that they needed to do this. And I think it's a weird precedent to set from like the Texans' point of view. Like from the Texans' point of view, I think it's just a really strange precedent to set because why would, if I'm Tommy Togiai, why would I not now approach them and say, okay, you have me under contract right now, and you're expecting me to play up to $3 million next year, which is this, to put in perspective, is the same contract that Trent Brown got last year, and he was hurt. He wasn't your most valuable DT and your only DT under contract. So I think that's one really strange thing for me with the Texans is you created a bargain with Danielle Hunter, and then you just basically wiped that away. And it's the second time you've done it because halfway through the first contract, you did it again. Now, from Danielle Hunter's point of view, he's basically bitch slapped Father Time at an extreme level. He takes good care of himself. He still plays at a really good level. He's trying to maximize as much money as he can when it comes to the back end of his career. And he has leverage. Like, what are they going to say? Like Nick Caserio is a car salesman's dream. He's a terrible negotiator. So you have leverage so you can go in there and try to figure it out. And as you said, the open market value would be high. But I just don't know the Texans, like maybe they're just going all in and saying the defense is the strength of this football team. We're not going to cut any corners there. We're going to go all in on the defense. Danielle Hunter's really good. We're going to bring him back. Doesn't matter with Will Anderson, so on and so forth. I just think if Tommy Togiai is smart, Tommy Togiai goes out there and he plays hardball.
Or he asks for a contract in 2027 and 2028, like in the future, like Hunter did.
Yeah. And now we have some breaking news here.
Yep. You ready for this? Dalton Schultz extended. He gets a 1-year extension worth $12.6 million, according to Ian Rappaport. Well, according to the agent when he texted Ian Rappaport. $17.6 million now guaranteed across the 2 seasons for Dalton Schultz of 2026 and 2027. So the Texans starting tight end was set to have his contract expire in 2026 or at the end of the 2026 season, now has a contract through 2027.
So there you go. Dalton Schultz gets a contract extension there. So 12 mil more. So this has been
feels like a lot of money.
That's an interesting, it's a bad tight end market, I guess, when it comes to free agents
it's right
very friendly when it comes to rookies.
It's right below, if we're going with the average annual value, it's right below Jake Ferguson and Cole Kmet and right above Pat Freiermuth and just slightly above where he previously was. So they just dumped a year on there and gave him some guaranteed money.
So there you go. Dalton Schultz extension. Thoughts?
Well, I knew he was going to be on the team in 2026, and him being on the team in 2027 doesn't change what I desire them to do in the tight end room, which is add tight ends with discernible skills that you can put on the football field right away. So go find a guy that can block really well. Go find a guy that is a better receiver than Schultz. Like, go find tight ends that have discernible skills that you can put on the football field. But I thought they were going to have to put some bodies in the room for maybe after Schultz. Maybe they could get a veteran for after Schultz. That I feel like goes away with this extension.
Yeah, I mean, I still think you got to improve the back end of that tight end room, but there you go.
Sure, I was just kind of assessing like who the number 1 tight end would be. Well, it's going to be him for the next 2 seasons now,
unless some rookie comes like Harold Fannin did last year with Njoku, maybe. But
well, they'd have to make that investment. I don't know that they're going to make that investment.
Well, there we go, Dalton Schultz. We'll see how it happens. It's been kind of a AB type of pattern with a good season, bad season, good season.
Kind of would have kept him on that pseudo contract year if I was the Texans, but
Yeah, like I'll put it this way: like the difference between the Dalton Schultz contract and the Danielle Hunter contract, quite frankly, is I think on the open market, Danielle Hunter gets more. I don't know that that's the case with Dalton Schultz. Like I don't think that's the case when it comes to Dalton Schultz. I don't think Dalton Schultz is going on the open market and getting another $12 million for an extra year.
Yeah, I don't think he's ripping off like a 3-year, $36 million contract in true free agency.
But I mean, again, when you have a couple of tight ends that the depth is so bad, Dalton Schultz sticks out like a sore thumb, and he was by far their best tight end last year. So I don't love the idea of not churning the roster, but especially with this tight end class, like if this causes them to ignore this tight end class, it's actually kind of ridiculous, but we'll see what they do. But Dalton Schultz, there you go.
I mean, how did they negotiate with anyone? Like with any player, like how do they ever win a battle? I'm serious. Like, so like with Dalton Schultz, you gave him a contract that didn't look good at the time. There was an easy out. He ended up playing good, and then it was just like, okay, yeah, it makes sense. And then all of a sudden, you double down on it. Like that's kind of essentially the same thing that they did with Danielle Hunter at a higher level. Like is this a run it back squad? Like that, I guess that's the thing. Like, is this a keep the band together squad? I think it's got to change. They'll get younger. So maybe the draft is going to be where they it's different when you ask about defense versus offense. Cause like, I want them to keep the band together on defense. Like get that thing as nasty as you can for as long as you can. But like, I want some different stuff on offense.
Let me just like, this is what I got to explain. Because Mike, I love you in here, man. Mike Roberts, you're the man. Love everybody in the chat. But he says, got to keep Schultz. He's all we have. Dalton Schultz, let me just say this very quietly, okay? Because or maybe I just need to say it loud. Dalton Schultz and Danielle Hunter were on the team no matter what. Okay? That's what happens when you give out these extensions when there's already a year left. I think people almost convince themselves when you're questioning the extension that you don't want that guy on the team. We had accepted that Dalton Schultz was going to be on the team. We knew that Danielle Hunter was going to be on the team. So the notion that, we got to keep him, you had him. He was already on the squad.
You could have started planning for life after Schultz and still had good use of 2026 assets to have it be a good football team.
Yes. So, yeah, he was. Of course you got to keep him. No one thought he needed to get cut. They're taking guys who are kind of at the point like of a make or break, a fall off, and they're extending them. So we'll see how it works out.
I don't feel like he's going to age very well either. Like you could be looking at a pretty rough 31-year-old.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, hold it down for a sec. I got the dogs me in a nut job. I'm gonna have to.
All right.
All right. Let him know the breaking news. Shut up. All right, just a sec. Right. Oops, I left.
Dumbass. All right, so Dalton Schultz gets his extension. He's going to be tight end 1 for the next couple of seasons. They're still going to do something in the room, like Brevin Jordan, Cade Stover. That's not good enough there. It does for me, again, like the Danielle Hunter thing, it changes some of my hopes, expectations that they have there in free agency. I was hoping maybe for, a somewhat medium-sized investment on a fun tight end that would then take over Schultz's role as the top tight end, but I would think that that's probably, they're probably done with that from that standpoint, bringing him back for the additional year. So if they do bring a veteran in, hopefully it's a veteran that's had some good football and put out some good football behind him and has a discernible skill. And they still could draft. They still could draft tight ends because this year's draft for me was not all about the replacement of Dalton Schultz, but it was about improving the spots behind Schultz, which there's still a multitude of tight ends that could do that. So for me, still draft tight end or tight ends and turn it into a big old fight behind Dalton Schultz to see who the 2 and 3 are in the tight end room. And hopefully you got some tight ends that you can get in the draft that have those day one skills where you can put them on the field.
Yeah, I think the Dalton Schultz signing, I don't think that impacts you not being willing to draft a tight end. I think they would like to run more 2 tight end sets, quite frankly. So I think I don't think that really impacts the draft plans. The running back, though, I think the running back is gone, and I think the early edge is gone. You kind of kick that can down the road. Like we were talking about the possibility of like an edge with the first 2 picks at 28 or 38. I think that's gone. So as far as like the draft impact, I don't think Schultz is like overly impactful. Like if God forbid Kenyon Sadiq falls to 28, not happening. But if that happened, I don't think they're not going to draft a tight end, but not going to draft him because of Dalton Schultz. But if like there's a running back that they like that's there at 38, I think they might be a little bit hesitant because of Montgomery.
Yeah, I think it just changes for me maybe the way that they would have or could have approached things from a free agency standpoint. Like there's no Isaiah Likely signing coming now that you've extended Dalton Schultz. There's no Dallas Goedert. There's no David Njoku now that you have Dalton Schultz under contract in 2027.
Yeah, I could see that. On Z chat.
Swarm.
The Rhino says, exciting times. It's the calm before the storm. Hopefully, Chef Boy R. Casario is cooking next week like Spanky's, which, by the way, we'll be at next Friday Free Agent Frenzy. We want you to be there. We got gifts. We got chat. We got talk. We got plenty of stuff to talk about. So nice assist from the Rhino. Big Dre, 261. Appreciate you on the super chat.
Thank you, Big Dre.
And then Justin C. 8191. Emmanuel Pregnon is my favorite player in the draft. My second favorite is Mike Washington Jr. What is your favorite player you want in the draft? I like Pregnon too. I especially like him at 38. He also, by the way, teammate of Woody Marks, Kalen Bullock, and Jalen Smith at USC. Transferred, only played 1 year at Oregon. So, yeah, massive hands too.
11-inch hands, biggest hands at the combine, and he's got the mentality that I feel like the Texans would be like, yep, we like this guy, just all about football, quiet.
And if you just don't want to F around and just take him at 28, F it. Like, you don't have to get cute. I don't care about positional value. If you think this is a starting guard, which is dangerous because this is kind of like the Kenyon Green talk, although it was early in the draft. But if you think this is a starting guard and he can hold it down, you don't have to get cute and say maybe he falls to 38. So just take him at 28. If he is their top guard, boom.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're not going to hurt my feelings if you just go ahead and take him at 38 or 28 or 38. And he's a model of consistency. I mean, just goes out there, takes care of his business. There's probably a few things about his game that you would want to round out from a coaching standpoint, but really good at Wyoming when he first got on the field, transferred to USC, transferred to Oregon. Talked about he was always trying to maximize what he could do when he gets to the NFL. I think the guy that I really wanted to get is Roush, the tight end from Stanford. Go get the blocking tight end with a little bit of wide receiver upside, a little bit of pass catching upside. Excuse me.
He's a steal.
Athleticism is one of those elements for tight ends that like it matters. And at 6'5", 255, like typically the good tight ends who are athletic stick around a lot longer than the unathletic ones. And Stowers and Sadiq, they blew the numbers out of the water. Roush went out there and did it 6'5", 255, 260, whatever he is. Like he's a big individual and he's still very athletic. So I like him a lot. He's probably one of my favorite players in this draft.
Yeah, I think he, I could see them taking them with their third pick. I really could. And I know some people might think that's too early. I could easily see them doing that because the tight end helps the O-line. The tight end helps the quarterback.
Tight end helps the running game.
And by the way, they start a new trend, brother. They start a new trend. They've already got clicks. They got the Ohio State click or the Iowa State click, the Iowa State 4. They've got the USC 3 And now you got the Stanford tight ends, baby. You got the Stanford tight ends, Dalton Schultz and Roush right there. The smartest tight end room in the world. White Boy Wednesday has never been the same. Oh, man. Evan Unzi chat says, so Luke Lachey wasn't the guy, SMH. He was a project pick. I said this yesterday. Stranger things have happened than Luke Lachey coming to camp in his second year and being better than Cade Stover. Way stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Luke Lachey. Yeah, that would be no relation to Nick Lachey, by the way, if y'all are wondering.
And coached up by a Hawkeye because James Ferentz is the tight ends coach now.
O says, after he hooked up with Amber Rose, he got no respect. Talking about CJ.
He's still on CJ. I wonder if every super chat he ever sends is going to be about how much he hates CJ Stroud. It might be.
Could very well be.
It might be. That's
Dalton Schultz, man.
Another year of 3 really good media availabilities over 25 weeks of covering the team.
All right, so Jordan Reed just tweeted this out. I did not know this, and I'm wondering if you do. Do you know how many sacks Danielle Hunter had in his college career at LSU?
I don't. My hunch is it's a low number because, like, wasn't he one of those, like, guys that came out when people thought he shouldn't have come out?
He had 4.5 career sacks in 3 years and 1.5 in 13 games his final year.
Yeah.
And he's like climbing the all-time sack list.
Yeah. He's I mean, for a large part of his career, he's been one of the best bargains in football. He's no longer a bargain. He's getting paid, what a player that produces like him gets paid. But yeah, he's 37th all time on the sack list right now, and that's the unofficial sack list where they went back and they gave guys sacks before they counted sacks. Like,
that is absolutely insane, though. 4.5 in 3 years.
Yeah, came out, was a physical freak, and him and Stephon Diggs were in the same draft class.
That's wild.
It's a hell of a draft class. They haven't had a good draft class in Minnesota in a long time.
Oh, and the Vikings, yeah. That was crazy. And those were their projects. Evan says, what about Tegan Landry? He could flop it for us.
He's got to be a free agent, right?
He's better than Cade Stover. Like, for all the jokes, he's better than Cade Stover. Does anyone dispute that?
He's still in Atlanta.
I saw him lead blocking on a couple of touchdowns. Maybe not lead blocking, but he was there.
I think he is a free agent. Bring it back.
He's better than Cade Stover. I will say that. Joseph is asking an either or on the chat. Would you prefer an offensive lineman in free agency that is better at pass pro or run blocking? And they need a run blocker.
Yeah.
But I mean, it sucks when the guy can't pass block, but they need a run blocker.
Well, I feel like they gimmicked around some unfavorable pass blocking situations last year, and they could do again. They could do that again maybe this year, but yeah, they need some guys to move the pile on the ground.
On the chat, Big Dre 261, damn guest Sadiq, trade up a wrap with Dalton extension.
Yeah,
that would be correct. It's gonna be expensive anyways, I think, but yeah.
I mean, even if he got to like 20, it would seem unlikely that they would do that based on the fact that they extended Dalton.
Evan says, so we're not getting Linderbaum from Baltimore. The answer would be no.
I don't think they were ever getting Linderbaum because I think there's still a chance he's sticking around in Baltimore, but it seems highly unlikely that they'll be in that chase.
Yeah, and there's quite a lot going on. I mean, he could be sign in the next 5 minutes with the way that things are going right now.
Yeah, if little Friday news dump from the Ravens. Yep, we extended Tyler Linderbaum, biggest center contract ever.
Yep. So they're filling in holes, and then we'll see what happens in free agency. But if you're just tuning in, Dalton Schultz and Joe Mixon news today. Joe Mixon released, to the surprise of nobody. Dalton Schultz gets an extension. So,
and MJ Stewart's back.
MJ Stewart is back. How does that make you feel?
It's totally fine backup.
In his 30s.
Totally fine backup.
Yeah, they like him. They like his special teams. I'm doubting that there's anything crazy guaranteed there.
Yeah.
I don't think there was going to be much of a market. So he did a good job filling in last year too. I will say it was better than a lot of people perhaps anticipated. So depth piece, I still think they're probably open to adding a safety.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, he's there, and I doubt the contract's too nuts or anything crazy.
Yeah. Nice depth piece that, hey, maybe some guys come in and outplay him and you're bidding farewell in late August, early September.
All right. So there we go. The Dalton Schultz news, right as it's going down. Again, was going to be on the team. Now he's going to be on the team a couple years. So he will have carved out a half a decade of service time for the Texans. How about that? Half a decade of Dalton Schultz.
Half a decade and a pretty damn good amount of money from the Texans too.
Yeah, he did a good job. And all he had to do was go down 45. It's right there. And then he'll probably move back to the Bay after. So there you go. The Hardo, one of the leaders.
Yep.
Who's next for the extension? Is it going to be we were asking about defense, but I guess they're focused. They got the offense as well. I go back and listen to Caserio, and it's like, damn, maybe he was giving us hints because he was real, like at the combine, he was real defensive about the performance of the offensive line, and then he's kind of running it back. It does feel like perhaps they do think Trent Brown is going to be their starting right tackle, which we've already gotten into, and that could be interesting. And then he was real defensive about Dalton Schultz, and he said, I must have missed that. I thought he had one of the best seasons in franchise history. I must have missed that.
Yeah. When I asked him about Titus playing a certain position, he acted like that was no big deal. So maybe there should have been some clues.
Will Anderson seems like a foregone conclusion that will happen.
Yeah, you could do Will's contract at any time, though. I would think Azeez is probably getting a crack at an extension.
What tough decisions are they going to make? Maybe they don't have to. Maybe they're just going to roll it.
Their tough decisions Monday when they don't spend any money on the fucking offensive line. That's their tough decision.
Maybe they're just like all right, we're not paying CJ. Look, we're not doing it. So we're just going to go all in, and then we'll figure it out, adjust accordingly. We're going all in this next year, and then
they treat the defense like the Eagles treat the offense. Everybody gets paid.
Zach Rose says Agumbawale.
Don't do that.
Oh, it's coming.
Don't even put it in the universe.
Oh, it's coming. They can't quit Agumbawale.
No.
So yeah, I think the will thing will happen, and then there you go. By the way, Ryan Kelly is retiring from the Minnesota Vikings. So
the top two centers from last year's free agency, Drew Dahlman and Ryan Kelly, both retired.
Yep. And that also kind of means that if you're thinking center in the draft, there's probably going to be a little bit more competition for you.
Well, hell, if you're thinking
and always goes to,
if you're thinking upgrade Jake Andrews, there's more competition.
Yeah, that's the point.
The Bears got a ton of money. Minnesota's, I think, still clearing cap space. They're in a rough spot. That idiot GM they had did a bad job.
Yeah, that everyone's getting cut. Everyone's getting cut. And now the Dolphins cut their fullback Alec Ingold. Are the Texans going to use a fullback next year? Would they like a Pro Bowl fullback?
I did see a cut today that I'm intrigued by.
All right, which one?
Dalvin Tomlinson, the defensive tackle from the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah,
Big,
they saved 17 milli on that.
great big fat human being and could eat some space up. And I'd be very interested in the D'Amico Ryans House for Rehabilitation Defensive Tackles having Dalvin Tomlinson in it.
They saved 17 milli with that release.
Yeah, he had a big contract.
Yeah, there are a lot of DTs. They're running it back with everyone. Maybe they see something at DT that they'll
something new, like you said it yesterday, the next Sheldon Rankins.
Yeah, the next guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. They love their guys though. They definitely love their guys. Again, he's still on CJ. He says God can do anything, but he can't make CJ better.
I want him to be a good football team, and I want CJ to play well, but I'm kind of anxious to see O's response if CJ has a good season.
He'll be pumped, man. He'll be happy. He's just down on him right now. He's disappointed.
Maybe.
So there he goes. That's the overall feel of that. Christopher asks, do you think Nick is only hunting guards in free agency? No Smith. It appears to be the case that
I would be surprised if they went and tried to get Braden Smith, the right tackle from the Colts, in free agency after they brought back Trent Brown. I'd be surprised by that. Yeah. And there's a bunch of guards, all different levels of talent and ability and age in free agency. And I went through a few, we've been through a few names here. Wyatt Teller's the one that gets connected to them a bunch here before this thing gets started. But I like Kevin Zeitler still, even though he's old and he's still very good. But yeah, I would think they're going to add some guard bodies via free agency.
Run it back. Laken Tomlinson, come on down.
No, I'm good. No Laken Tomlinson, and Ed Ingram's a little too pricey for me. If I was going to spend money, I'd spend on a better track record than one good year.
King Cole, just trust King Cole. He's got you.
Well, hell, sign a bunch of reclamation projects and just hope he gets it going. You trust King Cole that much.
How do you feel about yes, Mr. President 6'7" is asking how do you feel about Taylor Decker of the Lions?
Taylor Decker almost retired. I got no interest in him.
Yeah, and then he asked for his release.
He almost
retired. They stood by him, and then he asked for his release.
Yeah, he almost retired. Yeah, and then they were like, well, we're still going to do something at left tackle. And then he got all his panties in a wad, and then he wanted to get out of there.
Yeah.
Dude, you tried to quit.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with them, but
they got that thing with Frank Ragnow where he retired and then unretired and then had to re-retire. Like, they got some weird stuff going on in Detroit.
Yeah, it seems like ever since Ben Johnson left, everything's just
gone to hell.
Everything's just gone to hell. And meanwhile, the Chicago Bears, a lot of people buying stock in them right now. Jonathan Allen, AVT ?
Jonathan Allen's got nothing left. I mean, it went fast for him. I mean, if he was super cheap and he was part of the rotation, sure. And then AVT is Elijah Vera Tucker, the Jets lineman. He has the weirdest market of any lineman because he's missed basically 2.5 seasons worth of football due to injuries, including an entire season last year. But when he was on the field in 2024, he was awesome. So it'd be tough to bet on him, but if you bet on him and it worked, like, it'd be a home run. But it feels like there's a better chance that you bet on him and it doesn't work for you.
It'll be fun next week. We want to cap it off with you again at Spanky's. Things will be shaped up. We'll be in full draft mode by then. Spanky's next week. Let them know the deets, Cody.
Yeah, be there on March 13th for Free Agent Frenzy Friday with Spanky's. We'll have happy hour active while we're there. You got fantastic food and beverages to consume, and we'll talk a lot of football. Recap free agency, get you ready for the draft, and really start to dig in on exactly how this roster is going to look. It's going to be a lot of fun, and man, I'm excited for my pizza. I'm gonna go with probably a thin crust and get wings on Friday, I think.
All right, there you go. Special occasion for Cody.
No, that's just a Friday.
All right. Appreciate everyone for rolling through. We're 3 days away from free agency. Locker room tonight at 10:30. God, who the hell knows what's going to happen? I've had to change the title and thumbnail now 3 times today. So between that and running around with the daughter and holding it down, it's been a hell of a day.
You're gonna have a dare party.
Shut up. We're going to the movies though. I actually think she's kind of excited for
Hoppers.
Hoppers. Yeah, I'm taking her to see Hoppers. So she's excited. Avery, want to see Hoppers? She's in the room next to her. She's reading.
I don't
animals.
I don't know why, but Hoppers is the commercials have made me laugh my ass off. So.
No, it seems like one of those that like the adults can laugh at and the kids like. It's animals, but this is the first time I've like gotten her like excited to see a specific movie. So it could be a dud where she just doesn't pay attention, but it feels like it might be like the full experience. She's already told me I don't get any popcorn, but I can have M&Ms. So kind of ball hogging. Yeah, that's not going to fly. But
did you? I'm sure you've seen this before. It made its way through social media again this week. Did you see the people that take a little mini spray bottle and get the butter?
I might do that.
I'm gonna go to the dollar store and get me one, and I'm gonna try it.
I'm gonna do it today.
If you see me in the movies, you're gonna hear me over in the corner. It's gonna be me putting my butter on my popcorn.
Might have to do that. All right. Appreciate everyone for rolling through. This has been a fun week. Next week it gets even more fun. We look forward to capping it off with you at Spanky's. Then we'll be in full draft mode. We'll be back at Spanky's a couple weeks after that, but we'll get to that when that happens. It's the most magical time of the year. It's the most active time of the year. Sometimes it's the most controversial time of the year, but either way, there's nowhere we would rather be. Appreciate y'all for rolling through. Always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together.
Eat good, sleep good, be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Appreciate y'all.